What's up, guys? Today we are going to be going back in time to 2016. I'm going to be reliving some of my 2016 favorites, and we're also going to be playing with the new Smokin Hot palette from Colourpop. And the reason I chose 2016 is because that is the year when all of the warm tone palettes started coming out. So if you've seen the promo photos for this new palette, instantly you're gonna get like Morphe 35O vibes, you're gonna get Tartelette Toasted, Modern Renaissance, Urban Decay Naked Heat. They just kind of started coming one after the other starting in 2016, and for a really long time that was all we saw, and then they finally started bringing back cool tones, and believe me, I love cool tones, but at the same time, because I have blue eyes, these are the type of colors that really make them pop. So I do have a soft spot for warm tones as well. And I thought it would be fun while we're doing a look with this palette to go back and just dig out some 2016 favorites in my collection. And the rest of my face is going to be really old makeup, like not really old as in I've had them since 2016. Actually, two of them I have. They're powder products. Hopefully they're okay. I figured first we can take a close-up look at this palette. I'll show you some swatches. I'll talk a little bit about some other Colourpop alternatives that are kind of similar to these, and then we'll dive into trying everything on. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and zoom into this palette. So the Smokin Hot palette is one of their larger mega palettes. It has 30 shades. These usually retail for $35, and I have to say I'm loving the colors in here. I did see some swatches on Trend Mood's page, and it looked like a lot of the colors repeated, but at least looking at them in the pan, I think there's quite a good variety in here. I don't feel like there's a lot of similarity between all of the different colors. And I also love how they arrange the palette with the lightest shades on the top, and then they go all the way down to the deepest shade. It just makes it really easy to choose colors and work with the palette, so I love that. There are several different finishes going on as well. We have some matte shades, we have a few mattes with the glitters. There are some satiny shades, some full-on metallics, and even some glittery shades, but they're not pressed glitters, like the kind that you don't want to get into your eyes. They feel like regular shimmer shades, but they just have a little bit more of a glittery or micro glitter finish to them. So there's a lot of variety in here. The formula feels really good, so I'm super excited to get started and create a look with this palette. But just quickly, if you're not a fan of these huge mega palettes and you just want something like this, but a little bit smaller, there are a couple of palettes that I have from Colourpop that are sort of similar to this. The first one is the Whatever palette. This is a 12 pan palette, and it has all of those really rich warm tones. You have golds, reds, some warmer browns. It's almost like a smaller condensed version of the Smokin Hot palette. So this is one really good option if you just want something with 12 shades. And then we also have the All That palette, and this one is again with the warm tones, but I feel like this one leans a little bit more of those red shades versus the orangey tones. So if you do like more of the reddish, rosier colors in the Smokin Hot palette and you're not really a big fan of orange or like a lot of gold, then I think you might enjoy this one. It's a really beautiful warm tone palette, and it's definitely possible that Colourpop has had some other warm tone palettes. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but these are the only similar palettes currently available for sale, and I just wanted to show those to you in case you want an alternative to the larger mega palette. But also you can find these shades in so many other palettes outside of Colourpop, from Modern Renaissance to Naked Heat, Tartelette Toasted. I mean, all the ones that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Modern Renaissance. If you have any of those palettes, you likely have most of these colors already. But one thing I love about the mega palettes is just the variety and the choice that you get. And I think you could really create with this one some very neutral looks. If you just stick to some of the brown shades, you could do rosy tone looks. You could go for the peachy or orangey type of color story. So really, it's just kind of a one-stop shop. If I'm wearing something that I feel like, okay, I want to wear warm tones today, I could just grab this palette and it has everything that I would ever need. So I really like this one. I think it's a great addition to their mega palettes. And by the way, I do have a code for Colourpop as well. It's Jen Phelps, and it'll save you $5 off your purchase. So I just wanted to mention that quickly as well in case you're interested. But let's go ahead and do a look with this one. I'm just going to quickly prep my eyes with the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. Most of the time, I don't feel like Colourpop shadows even need a base to grip to, but I like to apply this just because it cancels out any discoloration on my eyes, and it just makes my eye is kind of more of like a smoother canvas to put shadow on. So I just like how it evens out your lids, and unlike using concealer, this stuff doesn't crease. Every time I use a concealer on my eyelids, which I do in a pinch if I don't have this sitting right next to me, it always creases by the time I go to apply the eyeshadow. So I love the paint pot for that. All right, I'm just gonna zoom you guys in quick so you can see a little bit better. All right, so I think the first shade I'm gonna use is this one right here, Paprika. And I'm gonna apply this with the BK Beauty 202 brush. I'm just gonna start in my crease. This is just slightly deeper than my natural skin tone, so I usually like to start out with that type of shade first and go pretty close to my brow bone with it, and then I'll deepen up the crease a little bit lower with a darker color. Actually, when I'm applying this one, it looks a little bit deeper on my eyes than it does in the pan. It looked like it was gonna be a very light peach. I'm just gonna take a fluffier brush. This is the 201 from BK Beauty, and I'm just gonna blend out the edges a little bit. Yeah, this one, it looks a lot darker on. I think I'm actually going to go into a slightly lighter shade. This one is Peach Margarita up here in the top row. And I'm just gonna use that to kind of blend this out even a little bit further along the top edge. And that's another reason I love big palettes like this, is you have so many shade options that if you need like a slightly lighter shade than the one you're wearing, likely it's in the palette. All right, yeah, so this shade is perfect. This one is really like just one slight step darker than my skin tone, so it's just blending out that first color I put down really well, and I can even take this one almost all the way up to my brow bone just because it is so light. All right, I am looking very peachy already. Next, let's try this shade right here called Heat Wave. This one I'm also going to put in my crease with the 202 brush, but I'm just going to keep this one a little bit lower. I'm not going to go up quite as high as I did with the first shade, and I'm going to concentrate this one a little bit more on the outer corner. By the way, I should mention too that these shades have quite a bit of fallout. They're very soft, which is a great thing when it comes to blending, but when you dip your brush into the pan, a lot of powder comes up, so I would just recommend tapping off your brush if you don't want the fallout coming down on your face. Okay, so I think that's probably enough peachy shades. Now I'm going to pick up this one right here, which is Chai Latte. And this one is kind of a mid-tone to deeper warm brown. I'm gonna focus this one just right in my outer corner and just kind of angle it back toward my lash line. And then I'm gonna blend that out with my 202 brush. Just gonna use circular motions. These shadows are all blending so well. I have had some issues here and there with Colourpop's formula lately, especially the palettes that are at Target. For some reason, I just feel like they're not as good, but this one is really performing well. So definitely happy about that. All right, so the base look is done. I'm just going to put on some of my NYX Glitter Primer, which is what I put down before every shimmer shade in every palette. It just really helps them to pop and last a bit longer on the eyes. So I'm just gonna apply this one from the inner corner to about the middle. I'm not gonna go all the way across. And I really wanna use this shade Gold Dipped right here. This one looks so beautiful. It's not like a coppery gold, it's a true bright gold, and it has a little bit of glitter in the formula as well, so it's gonna be really shiny. Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful this shade is. It is so stunning. All right, so I'm just gonna do the other eye. I did get like a tiny bit of glitter fallout under the eye here with this one. So unfortunately the glitter glue doesn't completely prevent fallout, but that's why I was gonna do my base makeup after the fact, and we can definitely clean that up a little. So just gonna try to be careful, but inevitably some is always gonna just land down there. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly clean up the glitter under my eyes with a makeup wipe, and that's why it's so helpful to do your eyes first, especially if you think you're gonna be using glittery shades. That way you're not gonna ruin your foundation. All right, and then next, I'm just gonna quickly go back into this shade that I used in my crease and run it along my lower lash line. I'm gonna focus it more toward the outer corner. And then here's a finished look. I'm really happy with the way that everything performed. I think this is such a beautiful palette. And I know it's way too early to be thinking about fall right now, but I can see myself definitely using this heading into the colder weather. Okay, so next up for mascara, I was trying to think of what mascaras came out in 2016, and I was thinking about Lash Paradise, but then when I looked it up, it said that this actually launched for spring of 2017, which is pretty close. And normally the drugstore releases actually come out around around December of the previous year, so it probably launched around December of 2016. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I don't have any other mascaras from that time. And by the way, this is a newer tube that I got recently, so it's not from back then, but it'll have to be, I guess, close enough. I repurchased this one again recently because I haven't used it in a couple of years now. I've just been trying other new formulas, and I wanted to see if I liked it as much as I remembered. So it's actually just been sitting here in my makeup room in the package. I was waiting to go through other like newer mascaras before I opened it, but when I decided to do this video, I was like, oh, this is perfect because I think this is from back around that time. I remember everybody calling this one a dupe for Too Faced Better Than Sex. Too Faced was so like huge back then. They had their peach palette and everybody just went crazy for them. And the Better Than Sex mascara even came in a similar color tube as this one. So as soon as this came out, it was like the drugstore dupe that everybody had been waiting for. So yeah, looking from one eye to the other, this definitely gives tons of length and volume. I really do like this formula a lot. I can't remember if it smudges on me, so I'll have to maybe pin a comment down below or something and let you guys know. But I definitely like the way it's making my lashes look. It's a slightly wetter formula, but it's not causing any clumps. I feel like my lashes look more separated and a little bit more fluttery, which is good. All right, let's move on to foundation. So I have to admit, I didn't quite remember exactly which foundations and blushes and bronzers and all of that were popular back in 2016. So I did a little bit of research before this video. I was looking up old blog posts, especially posts that said like best of 2016. And one of the most popular foundations of the time was the Stay Naked from Urban Decay. So it used to come in different packaging. It was a round bottle and they switched it to the square one. So the actual original one no longer exists, but I think the formula is the same or at least very similar. And I really like this foundation. It's actually one of my favorites because it's so thin and weightless on the skin and it looks really natural. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply it with a beauty blender. By the way, my shade is 30 CP, so it's one of the cooler undertones. And this does have a little bit of a paint smell to it. It's not my favorite, but I find that once it dries down, I don't smell it anymore. This foundation actually reminds me so much, if you're looking for a drugstore alternative, to the L'Oreal True Match. And I'm pretty sure L'Oreal owns Urban Decay, so it could be a very similar formula. It has that same almost serum-like texture. It's so thin and weightless, and it just like blends into your skin so easily. And even up close, it doesn't look like you're wearing foundation. It just looks like your skin. And even though this has a really good shade range, the L'Oreal True Match has one of the better shade ranges for the drugstore as well. And they have a lot of different undertones and everything is marked on the bottle, whether it's cool, warm, or neutral. So it's a really good foundation line. I love that stuff. All right, so I just want to show you guys close up how beautiful this foundation looks. It doesn't have a ton of coverage. I would say it's a light to medium, especially if you apply it with a damp sponge. If you apply it with a brush, you can get a little bit better coverage, but it just sits so naturally on the skin. It doesn't cling to dry patches and it doesn't even look like you're wearing foundation close up. It has just the perfect skin-like finish. Next up for bronzer, I also was looking to see what the most popular bronzers of the time were, and one of them I did have in my collection. This is the Urban Decay Beached Bronzer, and I have it in the shade Sunkissed. So this one actually is from either 2016, maybe 2017, but I want to say Urban Decay sent this to me in PR, and I still have it. And I don't know if it's still good, but it's powder, so I'm hoping it is. I swatched it with my finger, and it still feels incredibly soft and silky. It doesn't have any weird smells or anything like that, so I think we're just gonna go for it. And they do still sell this. I saw it at Ulta recently, but I think it's on sale, so they might be discontinuing it. I love this color because it has a slightly reddish undertone. It's so beautiful. So I'm gonna apply this with my giant Sigma bronzer brush. This is my favorite brush. It's the F78, and I'm just gonna warm up my face a little bit. Ooh, this is so pretty. I love this color. All right, but yeah, you might notice that my body is a little bit more bronzed than my face. I used the Tarte waterproof powder bronzer, the Park Avenue Princess one, and I have a body brush that I apply that with, and it's a really nice alternative to Sunless Tanner if you don't like Sunless Tanner. All right, so for a powder that's like 7 years old, this is applying really nicely. With this brush, because it's so big, you get a really like all over bronzed look. Definitely those vacation vibes. If you want more of like a sculpted type of contour contour look with a bronzer, then definitely like use a smaller brush and just put it in key areas. But I love using this brush just for all over warmth and glow. Next up for blush, one of the most popular blushes in 2016 were the Lorac Color Source blushes. And again, this one is probably from around that time. These were my biggest obsession back then, and I still love them. I don't use them nearly as much as I should because there's always new blushes coming out constantly, but these are one of the best formulas in my collection, hands down. They are the silkiest, softest, most blendable blushes. They look so beautiful on the skin. This is the shade Technicolor, so this is a warmer tone that I thought would pair really well with the eye look. So I'm gonna apply this with the BK Beauty 111 brush and hope that between this and the Urban Decay bronzer, I don't get some sort of weird skin infection. But oh my gosh, I mean, this still applies so seamlessly and it's just gorgeous. One of my absolute favorite shades from this line is Tinge, and it's the lightest peachy tone blush. It just gives a barely there hint of color, and I love wearing that with, like, if I'm ever wearing a smoky eye or a bolder lip and I want to keep my cheeks really neutral, it's like the perfect neutral blush color. But this one is also gorgeous, and you can just see like how perfectly it sits on the skin. They blend out like a dream, and they don't get talked about enough in my opinion, and using this now is making me just want to go back and repurchase all the colors all over again because they're so pretty. Okay, so next for lips, I don't know if this one actually launched in 2016, but I remember it being popular back then. When I was looking up different blog posts, I saw that it was included in a Sephora favorites set for 2016, so I know that they existed back then, and I do remember a ton of people talking about them. So this is the NARS Velvet Matte Lip Pencil, and I have it in the shade Take Me Home. Back in those days, matte lipsticks were everything. I remember the Huda Beauty matte liquid lipsticks and the Kylie Jenner lip kits. That's like around the time when they first launched, and they were so popular. The past couple years, we've definitely been having more of a lip gloss or lip oil moment, but I have seen a lot of new matte lip launches coming out lately, so I think we're kind of trending back toward that again. So I'm hoping this is going to be a good color. I don't remember these being particularly drying, and I like something like this better than a liquid lipstick. I'm also wearing lip balm right now just to kind of cushion it and make it so it's not too dry. I also forgot how much I love lip crayons because they just make it really easy to keep inside your lip line. They're almost like a liner slash lipstick in one. You can get a really defined edge when you use something like this. So yeah, I think this color pairs perfectly with this look. So anyway, guys, back to 2016. What do you all think? Are you ready for matte lipsticks again and warm tone palettes? Or are you not ready to revisit that time yet? I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think about the new Colourpop Smokin Hot Palette. And again, if you're planning on picking this one up, be sure to use my code JenPhelps to save $5. And I want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me and watch this video. I truly appreciate it so much. If you're new to my channel and you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll consider hitting the subscribe button. And if you'd like to check out some more videos, I'll go ahead and just put a playlist, I guess, right over here. And you can check those out next. Thank you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in my next one. Take care, guys. Bye.